Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Zinedine Zidane is said to be interested in the Manchester United role, but there's a problem. Zidane's wife does not want to move to England. Manchester United have made progress in their pursuit for Zinedine Zidane. Last month, it said Zinedine Zidane wasn't interested in the Manchester United job. Man United hope that Zidane's close relationships with Ronaldo and Varane will persuade him to join. Talks are ongoing between Manchester United and Zinedine Zidane. Cristiano Ronaldo wants Zidane at Manchester United in 2022. Ronaldo knows Zidane well, because Ronaldo played under Zidane when he was at Real Madrid. Reports from Spain said earlier on this season that Zidane rejected the Newcastle job as he's waiting for the Man United or France job. I think Zidane would be the right appointment for Manchester United. I think Zidane would get us back to that level where we should be at. He'd suit the strappings of the club. He would be capable of winning trophies and he'd get the best out of these group of players. He's a far superior manager to Solskjaer. And Zidane is managerless because he left Real Madrid in the summer. You've got to admire what he did at Real Madrid. He won a lot of trophies. So reflecting on that, he's got a good pedigree behind him. Zidane has not yet managed in the Premier League, so it will be good for him to come and experience the Premier League, revert back to what I've mentioned before. Brendan Rodgers has also been mentioned a lot. It said the other day that Brendan Rodgers is more likely to become the new Man United manager than Zinedine Zidane. Recently, Brendan Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire, and it said that Brendan Rodgers is the favourite to replace Solskjaer. The other week, it said that Brendan Rodgers had apparently already verbally agreed to become Man United's new manager, but his preference would be to wait until next season because he's reluctant to leave Leicester midway through the season. And the Manchester Evening News said the other week that Man United are ready to trigger Brendan Rodgers' contract clause if Solskjaer gets sacked. You've got to admire what Brendan Rodgers has done at Leicester. So far at Leicester he's won the Community Shield and the FA Cup. He's been Leicester manager for almost 3 years and he's got a contract with them until 2025. Brendan Rodgers is a far superior manager to Solskjaer, but certainly my preference would be Zidane over Brendan Rodgers. Now, Solskjaer, as you all know, he's under pressure at Manchester United following back-to-back home defeats to Manchester City and Liverpool, and Man United have only won one of their last 6 Premier League games, and at the moment Man United are sitting 6th in the Premier League. Yesterday, like I updated you, Solskjaer returned to the Carrington training ground. Last week, he was away in Norway after granting his players a week off. Reports said the other week that Solskjaer was waiting to be sacked after leaving Manchester. Solskjaer is going to be in charge for the game against Watford this weekend, so as things stand at the moment, his job is safe. But defeat to Watford will surely end Solskjaer's managerial tenure at Manchester United. The Manchester United board have not yet made a decision on Solskjaer's future. Fabrizio Romano did say earlier on this week that Man United want to continue with Solskjaer for as long as possible, with a view to assess the situation in the summer. Last weekend, it said that senior stars want Solskjaer sacked. That was stemming from Duncan Castles. And it's recently said that 8 Man United stars feel misled by Solskjaer with the broken promises he made to them during the summer. That Solskjaer is losing the players, he's also losing the fans' support. I hope we don't have to stick with Solskjaer until the end of this season. If Manchester United decide to sack Solskjaer, they'll have to pay him £7.5 million. In the summer, he signed a new 3-year contract with an option of a further year. And we made a mistake giving him that contract, and a lot of United fans will agree with me on that aspect. A lot of United fans have said if Solskjaer really cared about the club, he would resign. But obviously he's not going to resign because he doesn't get paid anything if he resigns, and plus after the 5-0 defeat to Liverpool he refused to resign. And Manchester United should have sacked Solskjaer after that humiliation to Liverpool, because if we'd have sacked him after that game, I can assure that Manchester United would have got Antonio Conte. After the 5-0 defeat to Liverpool, it had said Solskjaer had been given 3 games to save his job. And he only won one of them 3 games, beat Tottenham 3-0, drew 2-2 against Atalanta, and lost 2-0 to Man City. Solskjaer's been given long enough at Manchester United. He's been Manchester United manager for almost 3 years. The reason he's lasted as long as he has done is because he's a legend of the club. Disregarding him being a legend of the club, I can assure he would have been sacked a while ago. And of course we all adore Solskjaer, reflecting on what he's done for the club. Solskjaer was a very good player. He endured 11 years as a player for Man United. He flourished under Ferguson's guidance. Solskjaer had a proven pedigree as a player because he won a lot of trophies. But unfortunately, Solskjaer has no proven pedigree as a manager, and that is a concern. Solskjaer's tactics and his team selections have been questioned a lot, so reflecting on that, he is to blame for some of our poor performances. But there again, not all of the blame stems from Solskjaer. There's also players that have to take responsibility for those poor performances. At this moment in time, Manchester United are in a predicament, and the way to get out of this predicament is a change of manager, and structural changes are also needed at the club. And there's still deadwood at the club that we need to get rid of next year. Solskjaer knew when he taken over at Manchester United it was going to be a massive job. Not only a massive job, a difficult job as well, despite him knowing the club through thick and thin. You know, Solskjaer is managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. You know, Solskjaer got appointed in December 2018 to replace Mourinho. In Solskjaer's first 3 months, he was the interim manager. You know, he won 14 games out of 19 in all competitions as the interim manager. So reflecting on that, the club decided to give him the job on a permanent basis back in March 2019. The board backed Solskjaer very well in this year's summer transfer window, and the board still continue to back him now. You know, the Glazers are backing him. The Glazers have been at Manchester United for a good 16 years or so. The Glazers bought Manchester United for 500 million back in 2005. I think it recently says there were some United fans planning a protest against the Glazers. Well, obviously towards the end of last season, a lot of United fans were protesting against the Glazers because obviously they were planning to scrap the Champions League for that European Super League. But obviously towards the end of last season, Solskjaer revealed that the Glazers apologised. Woodward, you know, he continues to back Solskjaer. Woodward's leaving Man United. Well, it actually got announced back in April that he was leaving the club. But then not so long ago it said Ed Woodward was in talks to stay at Manchester United under a new role. Woodward's had like a 16-year association with the club. John Murtough, our director of football, has also backed Solskjaer, and Darren Fletcher has backed him. And Manchester United enjoyed a very good summer transfer window this year, made 4 signings, spent £141 million. We brought Tom Eaton in on a free from Villa, brought Sancho in, brought Varane in, and re-signed Ronaldo after 12 years. 3 of the 4 signings we made were major signings. And Manchester United have got a very, very good squad. But the reason we're not getting the best out of a lot of the players is because we're not playing as a team. We're a team of individuals, like a lot of pundits have spoke about. You've got the likes of City, Liverpool and Chelsea that all play as a team, and that explains why they're in a much better position than Manchester United at this moment in time. Manchester United should be winning the league this season, or at least competing for the league, because we've got a title winning squad. Man United have not won the Premier League since 2013. And Solskjaer did say at the start of this season that his ambition was to win the Premier League. But I just feel as though that the expectations are far too high for Solskjaer to exceed as Man United manager. And Solskjaer's certainly not capable of winning trophies as Man United manager. He's not yet won a trophy as United manager. We haven't won anything since 2017. And Solskjaer is in a position that he shouldn't be in. I hate to say this regarding Ollie, but I'm just being realistic. Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson. Since Ferguson, Manchester United have sacked 3 managers. We sacked David Moyes, sacked Louis van Gaal and sacked Jose Mourinho. Now, there is inconsistent players at Manchester United. You've obviously got Lindelof. He's not good enough to represent the club. I can't understand why he's ahead of Eric Bailly, because Bailly is a far superior centre-half to Lindelof. Lindelof's been at Manchester United for 4.5 years now. Got him from Benfica back in 2017. Paid around £31 million for him. You know, Harry Maguire, he hasn't been good enough this season. Maguire's been even worse since he came back from that calf injury. Maguire's performances have to improve. The best game I recall him having this season so far was the 3-0 win against Tottenham, even though he got booked in that game. You seem to get the best out of Maguire when he's alongside Varane, but when he's alongside Lindelof or Bailly or both of them, you can't seem to get the best out of Maguire. And Man United certainly overpaid for Harry Maguire, got him in a deal worth 80 million, so he's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment and the second most expensive signing at the club. Luke Shaw, he hasn't been good enough this season. You know, where's the Luke Shaw from last season? Because last season, Luke Shaw was absolutely superb. He was far superior last season to how he has been so far this season. Probably the best game Luke Shaw's had this season was the 3-0 win against Tottenham, even though he got booked in that game. Shaw was very poor in the 2-0 defeat to Man City. He obviously was the main culprit for Man City's second goal by Bernardo Silva. Plus Luke Shaw went off with a concussion against Man City. He had to be replaced by Tellez. Shaw's been at Manchester United for like 7.5 years, so he's been a long-serving player. He is injury prone, which is a concern, but despite that I still think he's had a good career at Man United. He's been our first choice left back for a while and still remains our first choice left back despite the arrival of Tellez. Shaw's got under 2 years left on his contract. Fred, he's not good enough to represent the club. I think we should offload Fred next year. Manchester United overpaid for Fred, got him in a deal worth 50 million from Shakhtar Donetsk. I've got to make an admission though regarding Fred. I thought he was a world-class player during his time in Ukraine. McTominay, I think he's another one that's not good enough to represent the club either, despite him having his good games at Manchester United. McTominay's been part of the club for a long time. Just after the first lockdown last year, he signed a new 5-year contract with Man United. Fred and McTominay play a hell of a lot of games together, and a lot of United fans have had a go at Solskjaer for persistently selecting Fred and Scott McTominay in the centre midfield. Jesse Lingard, he's another one that's not good enough to represent the club, but there again, Jesse Lingard doesn't really get in the team anyway. He has made a few appearances this season. Well, there has been rumours coming out saying that Jesse Lingard could leave Man United for just 10 million next year. Well, it's better to cash in for Lingard in January rather than let him go on a free next summer, because next summer Lingard's current contract expires. Earlier on this season it said Lingard rejected a new Man United contract offer because of 2 players. Lingard's been part of the club for a long time. He is up our academy in that. You know, last season he enjoyed a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and he made an impact. West Ham tried to get him in this year's summer transfer window, but West Ham were struggling to meet our 25 million asking price. Martial, he's another one not good enough to represent the club. Martial doesn't get in the team anyway. Not so long ago, Martial come back from injury. Martial, I think, will be leaving Manchester United in January. The best season Martial had at Manchester United was his debut season under the Louis van Gaal era. Last season, Martial was out with a knee injury for a while. Solskjaer, though, seems to have a lot of trustworthy in Martial. That explains why Solskjaer gave him that number 9 shirt. Martial has been at Manchester United for 6.5 years. He's got 3 years left on his contract. Man United got Martial in a deal worth 58 million from Monaco back in 2015. Jones, he's another one that's not good enough, but Jones doesn't get in the team anyway. I think Jones will be leaving Manchester United next year. Jones is the only outfield player that's still with us from the Ferguson era. This season is Jones' 11th season at Man United, so he has been a long-serving player. So there you go. But on the other side of things, there's a lot of good players at Manchester United. Obviously, we've got Marcus Rashford. That's a good player. He's done well in a few games since he's come back, but he's also enjoyed a few poor games as well. Don't forget, at one point, Rashford was out with a shoulder injury for a while, and at one point, he had to have an operation on his shoulder. Most of the time now, Rashford plays on the left wing. Well, we need to keep him on the left wing because that's where he's mostly effective. He's far superior on the left wing to the right wing and up top. Rashford's been part of the club for a long time. He's been a United player since the age of 7 and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. So he's been in our senior squad now for a good 5.5 years. Rashford's got a contract with Man United till 2023. Edison Cavani, he's also a good player as well. But unfortunately, I think Cavani will be leaving Manchester United next year. Cavani is now out with injury until December. He was out with injury earlier on this season. Cavani's got under a year left on his Man United contract. It was back in May he signed that 1-year contract extension. Man United got Cavani on a free transfer. This season is Cavani's second full season at Man United. Cavani's got a good pedigree behind him. Look at the amount of silverware he won when he was at PSG. Not only that, he was a long-serving player when he was at PSG. Man United have also got the best player in the world overall in Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo's done well since he's re-signed. He's scored 9 goals in all competitions so far. Not so long ago, Ronaldo got named Player of the Month for October. So he's got back-to-back awards now because he got named Premier League Player of the Month back in September. Ronaldo is becoming, or already is, infuriated with what's going on at Man United at the moment, and he even mocked Solskjaer's tactics. He did that in the 5-0 defeat to Liverpool. I can't see Ronaldo seeing out his contract at Man United if Solskjaer was to remain Man United manager. Ronaldo's got a contract with Man United until 2023. There's an option of a further year. He receives 480 grand a week, so he's the highest earner at Man United at the moment. He wears the number 7 shirt, and we got him for 19.8 million with add-ons included. Ronaldo's won 32 major trophies in his playing career, including 5 Ballon d'Ors. But Man United are relying on Ronaldo far too much, and we need to stop doing that. You know, Ronaldo saved Solskjaer in the 2-2 draw against Atalanta because he netted twice in stoppage time at the end of both halves. He also scored the winner in the reverse fixture against Atalanta at Old Trafford. He also scored the winner against Villarreal earlier on this season. You know, you've got Mason Greenwood, that's also a talented player. Greenwood has scored 4 goals in the league so far this season. At one point though, Greenwood did go a while without scoring, but despite that he's been a revelation since he broke into our senior squad. Greenwood made his senior debut for Man United back in 2019. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and last season Greenwood signed a new 4-year contract. You've got Bruno Fernandes, that's also an exceptional player as well. Fernandes starts the vast majority of Manchester United's games, and he has been consistent in a lot of games for Man United, but on the other side of things, there's been quite a few games where he's looked off the pace. And Fernandes was very poor in the 2-0 defeat to Man City. Fernandes, though, is one of the best signings we've made since Ferguson retired. Fernandes has been a Manchester United player for almost 2 years. Got him from Sporting Lisbon back in January 2020. Last season he won Player of the Year, and he's won Player of the Month quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. Earlier on this season, Fernandes did make it clear that he wants to stay at Manchester United. When he first came to Man United, Fernandes said, "I've come to Manchester to win trophies." Fernandes has got a contract with Man United till 2025. There's an option of a further 12 months. Donny van de Beek is also a good player, but haven't had much of a perception on him at Manchester United because he doesn't get enough game time. And I've said Solskjaer should be starting Van de Beek, especially in the Premier League, with him being a good player. Van de Beek is leaving the club in January. The player himself has confirmed that. You've got Paul Pogba, that's also a good player. Not only a good player, he's an imperative player as well. Pogba did enjoy a very good start to the Premier League season. You know, he's got 7 assists so far in the league this season. He produced good performances for Man United in the last couple of months of last season. Paul Pogba may never be playing for Manchester United again, by the way, because not so long ago it said Man United are prepared to sell Pogba in the January transfer window, and Pogba is going to miss the rest of 2021 because he suffered a thigh injury in France training. Pogba's got 1 game to serve in the league out of the 3-match ban he got because Pogba got sent off in the 5-0 defeat to Liverpool. Pogba played in a 2-2 draw against Atalanta. He was very poor in that game, and reflecting on his poor performance, he got heavily criticised. There again, reports from France said, not so long ago, like I updated you, that Pogba wants to renew his contract to Man United, but reportedly on one condition, that he's made the Premier League's highest paid player. So he wants to overtake Ronaldo as the highest paid player. At the moment, Pogba receives around 290 grand a week on his current contract. His current contract expires next summer. Before the start of this season, Pogba rejected a new Man United contract offer. You've got Wan-Bissaka, that's also a good right back as well. The defensive side of his game is very good. But on the other side of things, the attacking side of his game is not so good. There's aspects of his game that I've got to improve. He's got to show more attacking intent. His position has to improve and his crossing's got to improve a bit more. But despite that, he is one of the best right backs we've had since Gary Neville. This season is Bissaka's third full season at Man United, got him for 50 million from Palace back in the summer of 2019. You've also got Telles, that's a decent left back, but Telles doesn't really get in the team, does he? So reflecting on that, I haven't had much of a perception on him at United, but in some of the games he has been involved in, he has been consistent. Telles is our backup left back to Shaw. Telles will only play when Shaw's not available. Telles was out with injury earlier on this season, but the reason we brought Telles in was to provide competition for Shaw. We got Telles for 15.4 million from Porto. And Luke Shaw, like I said, he's a good left back overall, but revert back to what I said earlier, he's been very poor this season, so reflecting on that, he hasn't proven how good he can be so far this season. Eric Bailly, he's a very, very good centre-half, but I think he's leaving Man United next year because Bailly doesn't get regular game time. Bailly lost his place in the team a while ago, obviously with the signing of Varane in the summer transfer window, and like I said, Solskjaer prefers Lindelof ahead of Eric Bailly. Bailly's only made 3 appearances so far this season. Varane's a very good centre-half, he's done well in quite a few games so far for Man United, but he's had a couple of games where he's looked off the pace. Varane has already endured 2 injuries since he signed. He's out with a hamstring injury at the moment. He's out for another 3 weeks, I think. And not so long ago, he was out with a groin injury. And he was out with that groin injury for a few weeks. Varane initially made his return in the 3-0 win against Tottenham. And he put a very good performance out. Maguire's a good centre-half when he wants to be. But just hasn't really proven that at Manchester United how good he can be. He's had his good games at Man United, don't get me wrong, but he's been terrible this season. And you've got De Gea, that's a very good goalkeeper. I've got to give De Gea credit, he's done really, really well so far this season. So anyway guys, that's everything to update you today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Your Watford Manchester United preview will be coming up later on today.